So, Fred, let's go to another negative, and that is the show ratings for this week.
Rough week.
Rough week, but I don't necessarily think it's completely awful. And let's break it all down. Dynamite, the rating was down. It was only down about 10,000 viewers, which that's within the margins. That's whatever. But a 0.26 in the demo when last year was, I believe, a 0.31. It's the year low. And we would have expected this last week with it being the day before Thanksgiving. And that's the biggest drinking day of the year for bars and restaurants. But it was the week after. And I think that's where it was the biggest surprise. But I will say, I believe Dynamite was either third or fifth on the day. So you're not exactly seeing a 0.26 where they're like 10th.
Yeah.
And I think that in itself gives at least a little bit of hope that it's not necessarily, hey, it's a big show issue. Less people just watched TV this night, and Dynamite got hit extremely hard. I want to chalk this up as a 1 week thing as far as demo. I want to see what kind of trend this is. We know that December is not a heavy viewed month. People are going to Christmas parties. There's all kinds of Christmas stuff happening, especially like in a place like Minnesota. There's a Holidazzle parade. My wife and I spent the other night driving around looking at Christmas lights. There's so many little nuanced things here, Fred, that are reasons why people don't go out. They go out and they don't sit at home and watch TV. And I don't have the DVR numbers at my disposal, but I would guess they're relatively high. What are you taking from this? Kind of pair that. Rampage was even more atrocious. 361,000, 0.08 in the 18 to 49 demo, 60th on cable. That was a record low. I think the first time AEW's ever been below a 0.10 in the demo. Like, these are not good, but how quickly are we hitting the panic button for AEW Dynamite?
I always say don't freak out about 1 week of ratings, because that could just be a blip. It could just be something weird with Nielsen, with how they measure their data, everything. Even in this case, I would probably advise a little more, let's wait and see what happens next with the ratings. But I do think that having these two back-to-back in the same week is more concerning than if you had just like a normal Dynamite rating and then this putrid Rampage one. Or vice versa. These aren't good numbers. There's no way you can conceivably spin it. And even if you're like, even if you're bringing up how it's December and there's all these different obligations people have that may cause them to not watch the show live, the fact is that, that would also have been the case last year. So, the fact that it's down year over year and that Rampage is at an all-time low, that's very bad, obviously. I'm still going to wait to see what the next couple weeks are, because I think that there's like the obsession with the week-to-week ratings is a very Eric Bischoff mindset of just like trying to react to one number in a vacuum. I think Dynamite's been pretty good recently. I think Rampage has been acceptable in terms of ratings. Keeping in mind that Rampage is a 10 p.m. Friday night show. But these are bad numbers. And if they continue to be at these levels, that would be pretty damn concerning, I think, for AEW. Not like panic, they're going to get canceled level bad, but like they need to figure out what they're doing wrong and fix it. So that's just kind of my take on them. Yeah, I mean, it's not like immediately panic, but if you're not looking at these and like doing a self-evaluation, then that's a mistake, I think.
Yeah, I want more data, and once we understand and get more data, I think we can make a more well-reasoned take about this, because they've been relatively consistent. Now, obviously, the year of Punk, that they were seeing like 20 to 30% growth year over year. And this is a new company. So there's going to be fluctuation in the data. It's not like even WWE. Like, obviously, we've seen a lot of ratings talk with that company. But they have nearly 30 years of Raw under their belt, 25 years of SmackDown. So we're talking well-established brands that have been in the marketplace for so long that it's harder to see true like crazy ebbs and flows because for the most part they're going to stay relatively stagnant. I mean, it's still going to look like an EKG monitor going up and down at least a little bit, but you're not going to see 20% drops. You're not going to see like, oh, 1 week did 2.5 million, next week did 1.5. You're not going to see things like that. But with AEW, and considering that their viewership is a little bit less, you're going to see more stark percentage drops. And we saw it, an 18% drop in 18 to 49 week over week. That is something it's easier to achieve because of those factors that I mentioned. And it's also something where you need to take it seriously because it could mean something. Punk obviously spiked numbers 20 to 30%, but now we're going up against Punk numbers. And I don't necessarily want to jump the gun and say CM Punk was the cause of all of it. I think Punk was the catalyst of getting some people back into wrestling. And this company was obviously the catalyst for everything he was talking about in WWE. But this is still a company that's very good. It's a cohesive brand. They put on really, really good matches on TV. And I want to see some consistent data. I want to see more because in order to create a well-reasoned take, you have to have an explicit amount of data.
Yeah. And the problem with trying to read ratings in real time is that it's really a lag time analysis that needs to be done. It needs to be done, even a few months after the fact, at best, and when it comes to comparing ratings, I would, be spending more time comparing the ratings to, year over year is good because it follows the general trends of like what happens in December with TV viewing. But I think right now with AEW, what is more valuable is comparing it like 6 months ago to what is going on right now, because that allows you to see, a little less of the CM Punk effect, like the initial coming in and boosting all the ratings so much. And I think in general, like they were pretty steady for a few months and then they got this Dynamite number. That's why I think that the Dynamite number is the less concerning of the two. The Rampage number to me is very shocking. And I think is a symptom of how Rampage has been used for months and months now.
Yeah, I'm very worried about the whatchamacallit. I'm very worried about Rampage, and I wonder if it's rehabbable at this point. We're about a year in.
It would take a lot of work because it is a total B show. I don't even watch it until Monday. Most weeks, like it just is completely inessential. This was a very 5 out of 10 show this past week, and that's kind of the norm these days, is to just not have anything of real value, like major, like can't miss stuff on the show. Mm-hmm. Like it's nice to have it, and we can segue into I could rant about this last episode of Rampage right now if you want, but it was just a real.
Let's do it. Like,
okay, sure. It was a nothing show, completely nothing. And if you want people to tune in at 10 p.m. on a Friday night, you need to give them more than this shit. Because what this show was Darby Allin winning a semi-competitive match. You had Orange Cassidy winning a cluster of a no doubt match. You had Athena squash. And I think she's very entertaining in squashes, but it's a squash. No one's going to tune in for that. In most 99% of circumstances, and it's not going to happen with Athena. And you had like just a middle of the road tag team match. Like every single one, there wasn't any real stakes in them. There was nothing, I think, to draw people in beyond, hey, you can see Darby and Orange Cassidy wrestle. And if you just put the matches on paper, like no one's going to really be moved by a Darby Allin Cole Carter match that was set up by an Angle 3 weeks ago with no follow-up. No one's really going to be moved by QT Marshall in a main event spot, despite I like QT Marshall or Marshall, whatever. I'm not burying him, but he is what he is, which is a low-level heel that is basically there to get a little bit of heat and then job to someone much higher on the card. And that's a fine role for him. But the downside of that is it's not going to be exciting at any point in time when he gets booked in a match. At best, you can like get annoyed by him and then someone kills him, and that can be an entertaining part of a show, but that's not going to increase ratings or put butts in the seats.
Let's talk about the put butts in seats, because this show, like, it had no star power. And we can have the conversation of Orange Cassidy as a star or Darby Allin as a star. Are either one of them proven ratings movers at this point?
I think
genuinely don't know.
I think Orange Cassidy at least has a history of moving ratings to some extent. I don't know that like he's the top of the list for them or anything.
But is he going to be the draw for an entire program? Like, oh, you get to see an Orange Cassidy match.
Not when it's built like this. Not when it's at this level. I think there's been some prior Orange Cassidy matches, especially on Rampage, that have done relatively well, where he's been defending this All-Atlantic Championship. Like the three-way with, was it Roosh and 10? Yeah, that was a few weeks ago. I think that was a hotter match. You had the random Shibata match. But even it happened on a Dynamite, but the Jake Hager match was more meaningful, I felt like. But yeah, I mean, this is what it is, man. It's 100% a B show, and it's like when they would put, Ric Flair or Vader or whoever on a WCW Saturday night in 1994 or 95 after the debut of Nitro. And I mean, you could have a Hogan match on that, and that would move numbers some, but it's not going to move numbers as much on a Nitro, especially when it's just like, hey, we're going to have Hogan beat up the Gambler or whatever low-level WCW guy you would choose from that era for the equivalents. Orange Cassidy is obviously nowhere near the kind of draw that Hogan ever was, and he never will be, but he has some drawing power in 2022, and to just slot him up against QT Marshall in mostly a comedy lumberjack match, I don't think it's really going to shift the tide against what's been happening with Rampage for weeks and weeks now.
Yeah, it's going to need a major rehab project to fix this. And
yeah. And the longer it goes on, the deader it is the thing. And like, I don't know that it can really get much worse than this. Like, I feel like this is like damn near a bottom of the barrel kind of number for Rampage. Like, this is what the hardcore AEW audience is. And I could see it going down a little more, but I don't think it's going to drop too much further than like a 0.06 or something.
So here's my main question for you. There are a lot of different things you can do to fix Rampage. Obviously, they don't have the full depth of their roster yet. Some of the guys.
Yeah, but like at this point, I mean, you've known this for months, and if you don't have like the full depth of your roster, then you should be building new stars, and you could have used a stronger Rampage to do that, but they haven't. And not doing that, like, because at least early on, like, it was a big part of Jade Cargill becoming a draw, and it was it could have been used for other stuff. To get other people over, because it's an hour of cable television, and instead it's just kind of a stationary bike show. The pedals are going, but the wheels ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. I kind of bring that up, Fred, because I wanted to ask, like, that I think Tony Khan is not willing to do it, and I think the proof is in the pudding. He has not been willing to put his biggest stars on Rampage in lieu of taking them off Dynamite. Would you be willing to do that?
You have to.
Like,
you gotta.
I'm really surprised and honestly disappointed that he hasn't been willing to do that. Now, we have seen Moxley perform on live Rampages, and I think the live Rampage aspect gives you an opportunity to utilize both, because if you're doing a taped show, it's like you don't want to necessarily have two Jon Moxley matches. Like, that's not great for the wrestler. The live crowd, you're not giving them any kind of variety. It's okay, I can understand that, but if they're going to see a Jon Moxley match live, why not just put it on Rampage and try and make it a real drawing show? I think that you can build new stars on Dynamite. And quite frankly, I would argue Dynamite's the better place to build stars.
It is.
It's
It
not
100%
working
is.
on Rampage. You're not getting enough people watching. Build up some of your younger talent, people you want to give a push. Obviously, they're trying it with Ethan Page right now, and we can talk until we're blue in the face whether that's a good or bad idea. And we already have. And if it's going to work, which, let's be honest, it probably isn't, but they're making an effort and they're doing it on Dynamite. They are pushing him on the flagship show to try and make him a thing and develop another heel. But why not use Dynamite to help build those stars? And you can still have star power. You know, maybe make Friday night the Chris Jericho night, because he is a big draw. He is a ratings mover. And especially because he's doing the Ocho gimmick, trying to, they're using him to elevate Ring of Honor to a place that it, quite frankly, has never been before. And whether that will work or not, we'll find out here when his run is done. But they're trying to make Ring of Honor more of a national brand, a drawing brand that's above an indie level. And I think the pay-per-view sales from the first two shows have shown that they have potential to do that, especially because they're using AEW talent. Now, why not just move him over to Rampage and try and use Jericho, who's been a proven draw, to help elevate that show? And I think the stubbornness or the lack of caring, whatever the answer is for why Tony Khan hasn't been willing to do some of these things, I think when you find that answer out, is going to tell you a lot about the potential future growth of this company and the willingness to be flexible and change on the fly. Now, he's done some of that already, especially when you talk about the fallout from Brawl Out, where he had to set up the tournament and he had to give the trios titles to Death Triangle. Like, he's been able to adjust, but it's this kind of adjustment that I'm talking about. The adjustment where, hey, things aren't going well. You don't have a major emergency, but you need to fix it. And he hasn't been willing to do that. And I want to see him try something drastic to make things better. And it's not there right now. And like, why? Yet you're running a company that is, one, growing, two, your partner loves, and the extra hour of TV that they gave you, you just let sink below 500,000 viewers and below a 0.1 in the demo. Like, I don't care how good of a relationship you have, putting out those kind of numbers in a relationship, especially when you're going to be eligible for a new deal here soon, that's objectively atrocious. And you need to try.
That's the biggest problem of it, is that, you know, a strong Rampage would be a great argument, probably their strongest argument, not just for more money, but also for more TV time, if that's what you want. And when you let Rampage go down to this level of, you know, as you said, under 500,000 and under a 0.1 demo, that really hurts those arguments. And this has been a discussion that's been going on for months all over the wrestling sphere about how Rampage has been traditionally very weak. And I'm not saying that every week has been booked like this, but this past Rampage is an exemplar of what Rampage is as a TV show for half a year now. And you can point to, to the exceptions to the rule, where you have Shibata come back for a return match, or you have John Moxley wrestle, in a trios match with the Black Bull Combat Club, or face Dante Martin, which was very cool back in June. But that's back in June. That's been 6 months.
Mm-hmm. And we're not exactly talking builds for these shows. Like Shibata. Yeah, here's the thing with Shibata. Love that he returned. You're giving America a true Shibata match on a 2-day build. Like, we had people in our office Slack that wanted to go see the show, but they couldn't make it work on 2 days' notice. And they live relatively close to Atlantic City. And why aren't we trying to build Rampage? Why isn't there an effort to try and make this show something? Because there was at first. The first match on Rampage, Christian Cage won the Impact World title from Kenny Omega.
Yeah, that was a massive deal. And then
establishing a show.
And then I think it was the second week with CM Punk's return. And now we've got Cole Carter and we've got QT Marshall in key spots. It's Rampage would have been a fine spot to build young talent 6 months ago. And it kind of was, but it hasn't been really. it hasn't been pushed hard enough, and it hasn't been pushed as a strong show for doing that. And now we're at the point where it can't do that, at least not as effectively as you would want it to. And frankly, at this point, it's going to take throwing major matches on it and building the major matches on there. Like, you can't just be like, well, Orange Cassidy's on the show, that's a major match. That's not enough at this point in time. You need to completely revitalize it. But what they've done is, it's like every third show up to NXT in the history of WWE. It's like when they had Main Event come in and they had a couple big matches early on, and then it quickly became just a C show. You had Superstars come back on WGN like 15 years ago or whatever it was, and they had for a while major stars and major matches on that, and then it quickly became a C show. And that's what this is a C show. And you can put on, it's not even a B show anymore. It's sunk lower than that. And Tony Khan, when he gets asked about this in interviews, he gets super defensive, and he's like, it is not a B show. But I mean, if it's not a B show, but it's drawing B show numbers, then that's even worse. But this isn't a B show. And even if you don't want to commit to building matches over a couple of weeks, which kind of is self-defeating, but let's say that most circumstances you don't, you could even set up the match on the live Dynamite and then do it on the Rampage with your major stars. And in TV land, that's 2 days of build, where at least you have the, they've proven that, or at least they think that for Rampage, announcing matches like in the 24 hours before the show is a effective way of building it, of building the ratings for the show and the viewership of the show. Doing that with Rampage is would be a way to, I think, effectively build up Rampage. If like you had announced one of these damn young, elite Death Triangle matches for Rampage, which they didn't. They did 0 of them on that. They're doing 0 of them on Rampage, which I think speaks volumes about where they see Rampage in the pecking order and how they use it. You have to put stuff that matters on Rampage, and they're not. And so Rampage isn't a show that matters, and they've done this to themselves.
They really have. And there is a path to getting it to matter again. And it's showing that you care about it outside of the first few weeks. Like, put meaningful matches on there. Like, hey, I don't think anybody would complain about, why would you put a Death Triangle Elite match on Rampage? I'm still bitter about the fact that my birthday is this Wednesday and I don't get to see a Death Triangle Elite match because they're having a break. Like, put the break last week, give me the match because I am more important than everybody else. And I'm self-aware. I know I'm not more important than everybody else, but there's so many little nuances that they could be doing. And it's hard to really, like, we get pissed about it because we cover the show. And we love the product and we love professional wrestling. So we want it to be as good as it can be. But at the same time, even with all the frustrations, Fred, there's little to no doubt that this product is a successful business and they're doing so many things right. For me, it comes down to this. You mentioned that Tony Khan is making excuses and he's like, he says it's not a B show, but it's either the outwards like lying and making excuses and he knows what he's doing, or he's really deluded himself into thinking this is actually an A show. It's not.
I will say that till I'm blue in the face, and I watch it every week, and it's just a complete B show at this point in time for what 2022 wrestling is. And Tony Khan isn't behind the times; he's with the times. It's not a case of an old school booker, thinking that this is what a B show is structured as. I just think he does not want to admit it, but he's not taking steps to fix it. And it's a matter of the rubber needs to meet the road. And you either need to beef up these Rampage shows so that the ratings are stronger, or else you're just going to be stuck with it, and that's it. It's just a matter of there is a problem. Either you address it or you don't. And if you don't address it, it's not going to get better.
Yeah, it's we can talk about this till we're blue in the face, but like they got to put some star power in Dynamite. And I don't want to hear another excuse that Adam Cole's out with a concussion, Kyle O'Reilly's out with a broken neck. Like, those things stink. And I hope that they heal fully. But you have the stars. You can put them on Rampage. No more.
And also, if you don't have the stars, with these guys out, it's not a good thing, but it can be a good thing in that it gives you an opportunity to build new stars. And instead they aren't. I feel like that's been the biggest weakness of the company for a few months now.
Build the stars in Dynamite, put real already established stars on Rampage, and rehab the brand. But
it's going to take time now. You aren't going to be able to just say, "Oh, we're moving the Elite Death Triangle 4th match to Rampage this week," and then watch it hit 1 million viewers. It's going to take consistent weeks of putting major matches and angles on Rampage, making it mean something, and then watching the numbers go up progressively, because that's how it works. You will now need to break the feeling that this is a B show, and that's going to take work and time and investment. And you might lose some viewers on Dynamite, but if that's what you've got to do at this point.
Yeah, it really is. And
either you do or you don't.
Yeah. Like, this is a really good conversation, and we will continue to talk more ratings in this space, because they continue to give us new data and new talking points, and it is a conversation that is worth continuing to have, but we need to move on here.